I wanted to chat to you guys a bit about the aches and pains you can expect on a ultra ride. You're pushing your body to the limit. There's parts that's it's going to give out, but if you know about them, you can prepare yourself for them. So at the end of the day, our ultra is all mental. It's a mental game. You can always ride slower if you're not that fit, but to just finish, be able to do that amount of Ks and to ride for that amount of time, it's a mental game. So number one, your ass is gonna hurt. After 100 Ks on, your ass is gonna hurt no matter what. You can put on as much chamois cream as you want. It doesn't take away from the fact that your entire body weight is leaning on two little bones on your bum. So it's gonna hurt. Chamois cream just makes sure it doesn't chafe. That you do not want. Ooh, I've heard some bad stories. So always chamois cream, but your bum's gonna hurt. It's natural. It's a part of cycling. Got to prepare yourself for that. Um, if you have like little tingy feelings in your toes when you're doing your shorter rides, like say between 50 and 100 Ks, if your toes start going a bit numb and start hurting or anything like that, you need to start playing around with your shoes, the setup of your shoes, because that happened to me last year. My feet hurt so badly. Like I got these splitting pains in my toes and that. And it's just, I was tightening my shoes up too tight. It's an ultra marathon, you can make it so nice and loose. You don't need that perfect power transfer. It's about comfort. Funny enough, this ride, like, my legs weren't that bad, but from all the rocky downhills, it's not in all ultras, but for the big five, it plays a big thing, is the downhills, how rocky they are. I mean, my arms, my rib cage, it felt like my ribs were shaking. But it's actually just the little muscles that go over your ribs that hurt. And you gotta know that that's coming if you've got a technical ultra. And then another thing that happens a lot is your hands. These two fingers, go numb for quite a bit of people. Put a lot of pressure on your hand over here from holding on the bars for so long that you end up destroying the nerves in your hand. And that actually makes these two fingers and this part of your hand go numb. And it's something you don't want to happen, but be prepared. Like, most people have it happen. I've heard so many people that suffer from the same as me. It's just about getting the right gloves and the right grips for your bicycle. Like, I know I can't use normal round grips. I need these ergonomically designed grips that a few of the manufacturers make. Yeah, and that's the main aches and pains you're gonna get. You could get knee pains, like lots of people complain about knee pains, and that's setup. That's your bike setup. So before you go to the ultra, pay the 1,000 rand, whatever it is, to get your bike set up properly to you, and not like a week before the time, like 2 months before the time, while you're still training, so that you can alter here and there little bits and pieces. And if something's not lacquer, go back to the guy. You paid a lot of money for it, for a perfect setup. They'll accommodate you and they'll help alter it and get it to the perfect position where you can do an ultra without having all these knee pains and back pains and that. If your setup's right, you shouldn't have back pain and you shouldn't have knee pain. That's just fact. If you got any of those two, you need to book an appointment and get your bike set up properly. And another thing I wanted to chat to you about is nutrition. Besides the mental game, if you're not eating right, you're definitely not going to finish. It's facts. So the main thing is most people need to consume about 30 grams of carbs an hour while cycling ultra, or while cycling hard. When you're cycling very hard, ultra you could probably do with a bit less, but rather go with that amount because you don't want to go into the deficit. If you can rather overfeed yourself a bit of carbs, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to come out the same weight that you went in. Like you won't lose weight, which is actually a good thing in ultra. You don't want to lose weight in ultra because then it means you weren't feeding right, you weren't chowing right. you were going into deficits where your body needed to pull on the fat reserves. So work with about 30 grams of carbs an hour, and I would say every few hours take in a bit of protein just to make sure that you don't eat up your muscle. When you're going for that long without protein, your body still needs that bit of protein, so it ends up cannibalizing itself to provide protein. So you end up destroying your muscles. So definitely every couple of hours have some protein. What I've done with the Big Five is I made one of those protein shakes. I made one of them, a big one, and what I would do in between each lap, I just grab a big sip out of it, and that will give you more than enough protein that your body needs to make sure it doesn't cannibalize itself. To make sure that you get in all the carbs you need, like you have to be drinking a carb drink. You can't go out there with Rehydrate or High Five or any of those ones. All they do is they just help put water back in your system. But you're doing an ultra, you have to take in those carbs to be able to make the distance. And the best way is to put in a carb drink and you consume that the whole time, and then you have chows in between. And you can go race food and you can go for all of that stuff, but the problem with that is it's very sweet because they rely on sugar as your main carb, and eventually you just get sick and tired of that sweet taste in your mouth. Got an awesome recipe for potatoes, for boiled potatoes. They got a bit of vinegar in it, so it tastes like slap chips. Oh, it's so good. So I have a whole bunch of baby potatoes, and I grab 2 of them every 50 k's, every about 3 hours. I grab 2 or 3 of them, chow that down, and then for the Big Five, I would chow twice a lap while I'm out, and that would be a banana, and then the other stop, I would stop at the water point in there to grab some potato, banana, boerewors, whatever they had on the table. It really doesn't make a difference. I just try to stay away from the sweet stuff because while I'm actually cycling, 90% of the stuff going in my body is sweet. So if I can stop and actually eat something, I eat something savory just to get that sweet taste out of your mouth, and it really helps a lot. And then after your ride, after the ultra, like it's going to take you a long time for your body to recover. But a couple of tips to help recovery, speed it up a bit. Chow a lot of protein. Like you can cut down on the carbs to almost nothing. But protein, a lot of protein, a lot of veggies. For the first 2-3 weeks, you got to focus on that protein, especially the first week. And for the first 2 days, what I like to do is I keep my legs elevated. So when I lie on the couch, I put my feet over the back of the couch when I'm watching TV. That way it helps drain all the lactic acid in your legs. And after this year, 2 days after the Big Five, I was fine. My legs weren't sore anymore. There was muscle damage, but they weren't sore anymore. And when I got home, I had an ice bath. It is absolutely horrible. But if you can have an ice bath a couple of hours after your ride, after you finish your ultra, even if it's a cold shower, it stops all that lactic acid from building up in your legs, stops it immediately, and it starts flushing it out of your system. Top tips for recovery: protein, lots of protein, keep your legs elevated, and squeeze in an ice bath that same day that you finish. After those 3 things, you'll be great. And then it's just about slowly but surely working back up to your normal training regime. It's going to take you a couple of weeks. Be patient. If you aren't patient, then you're going to destroy your legs, and it's going to take you months before you're back on fighting form. So take it easy, guys. Check you the next ride, eh? Cheers.